everyone, Egman here with another video, and today we've got Nick Menard. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, not too bad yourself.
Good. I heard you played a certain leader this last weekend. Who'd you play?
Cell
Oh,
Surge.
really? Awesome. And did you do well, or how'd you do?
I would say that the landing was perfect.
Perfect. Oh, perfect. Cool. Well, we got an undefeated. Was it? It was 6-0. Was that because it was six
Yeah.
rounds, right? Yeah. And from the invitational webcam events for season 2 of the premier tournaments, and we were able to. It was a best of one with 64 players, and with just one undefeated. This list you see here with Nick. Just went all the way, and which also means that 100% of the cell decks got first at this event as well, which is really cool.
That is correct.
Yeah. So we know that I love this deck. Nicholas knows I love this deck, and it's just like they're just the leader and just the concept in general. And I think it's really powerful. And what really turned you on to this kind of archetype and everything?
So I'm a really big fan of both green and blue. That's typically the majority of what I play. When I started set 10, I was mostly on blue Vegito, which actually kind of felt like sweet justice to beat the deck that I've been piloting a lot.
Yes.
So I knew that deck through and through. That definitely helped the matchup. Um, but I was originally really hyped to be playing green Go tanks to start set 11, and I very quickly realized with testing with some friends of mine that it's not impossible, but it's probably similar to this deck trying to beat Reboot Gohan. When green Go tanks runs into red Broly, like it's not fun. It's
Yes.
super uphill battle.
Yep. Exactly.
And it was just kind of a meta call being, if I'm going to be playing because we kind of have like a triangle format right now between like green Go tanks, Vegeks, and red Broly. That's sort of what's going on.
Yeah.
And then blue sprinkled in occasionally, whenever people decide to play it like crazy.
Yeah.
It's like some weeks everyone's playing it, and other weeks no one is. It's really
Exactly.
funny.
Yeah. For sure.
So I kind of figured I don't really want to be playing in a meta where I got an auto loss to probably 2/3 of the meta or 1/3 of the meta. That just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So eventually, I kind of started looking at what caught my eye, and I'm really forgetting his name right now. But another guy actually did win another one of the webcam events about a month or two ago with Cell Surge, and
Yeah,
I kind of saw the list, and I was like, whoa! I'm like, this is everything I like. Something that can go tall, wide, hand destruction, plays from the grave, cycles through. I was like, I like this.
Yeah.
So that turned me onto the deck. The biggest thing I can really say about this deck is that it takes practice.
Yes. For sure.
It's not considered tier 1 because you can't just pick up the deck and do really well with it. When I first started with the deck, I thought Vegeks was nearly impossible matchup. I just think it was tough. Now, I love that matchup.
It's super easy once you kind of figure out what they can do and how you can counter it in a lot of ways. So.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah, I think that's a really good call, and especially just an idea of what people were playing. I think Red Broly was the most represented deck for the entire tournament. So, having a deck that has a winnable matchup in that one, and you played two of them.
Yeah, round 1 and round 5.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, just having that ability, and if you don't know what Cell Surge does, like, why are you on this channel? Like, I've covered this leader like 100 times, but we're going to do it real quick. It's a Surge leader, and the best thing about this is it's an active main of once per turn. Look at the top 5 cards from your deck, and you just add one of them to your hand, and you have to discard one card from your hand. And so, when this leader first came out, like, it looked like that was really bad in a lot of ways. You don't gain card advantage. And however, as the game has kind of developed and more cards have come out, it's really technically a +1 in a lot of ways. And so not only getting the consistency of drawing from the top 5, but setting up your drop area for the cards you need is really good for this leader. And then it gets an untap 2 by doing the Surge with a green and a yellow and draw 2. And then on the Awaken side, you're able to have 2 effects based on if you have 4 or less life by taking one of the cards under your leader, and you either get to just all your opponent's cards that are battle cards that get played until the end of your opponent's next turn. They go play in rest mode, which just really buys you a turn or two in a lot of situations. Or the second one is that you can just pop one of your opponent's battle cards and one card in their hand. So you get like a free +2 also. So that's the other way to do it. But both of the effects are really good. And really can set you up. Just being able to like buy a turn next turn can really set you up for success.
I'll be honest, I'm actually pretty guilty of probably using the buying a turn effect maybe 20% of the time. It's almost always the popping effect, and that's probably because of surprise attack Frieza.
Yes, exactly. And so the main idea for this deck in a lot of ways is to just get a lot of value and a lot of like mid-range. Like this deck really goes really aggressive, which I don't think a lot of people are expecting from this leader. But you're able to get a bunch of free play, a lot of costly crits and double strikes at your opponent's leader, and just the fact that like you're a surge leader and you can literally awaken whenever you need to, even if you're not 4 or less. But you can just have like a 5 energy turn when you really need to, and go off from there. And even like the surge abilities for this leader, like being able, like I think the card that really turned this leader on was the super that came out set 10. But this just oozes value in so many ways, and being able to just like draw 1 or 2 cards for free is amazing. You can use this for like your surge effect, and you can just pop it and you get into your drop area for free. If you get late game, it's just a really good card. And do you ever use the effect to play it when you have 4 or more energy?
So I didn't. It's usually by the time I could use it, I've ran through them because maybe a deck's stalling me out. So saving them in hand usually is a last resort because I want to use them to be able to self-awaken if someone is trying to stall me. I did have the opportunity to use it, and I was going to in one of my games, but the guy just scooped up. So
Gotcha.
I think it was actually... No, I honestly I can't remember which match it was. I think it's round 2 against Green Gotenks. I think
Gotcha.
I showed him I had that, and I was like, well, he's gonna come out or something like that. And he's like, he's like, he got it.
Yeah. So no, he's definitely like really good. I keep forgetting he does have this free play ability because it's like, well, worst case, because you can tap out, your opponent can think they're safe, and then you can just drop a 30k for no energy and just swing in. So it's just a really flexible card in a lot of ways. And so the core for this deck is pretty self-explanatory and kind of follows the idea of what you want to be doing turn 1, 2, 3. And it's since you're looking top 5 from your deck every turn for the first 2 or 3 turns of the game, you normally find your pieces, right? How often were you able to get like turn 1 Demigra, right? Was it almost every game, or?
One game I didn't. It was round 1.
Okay. And like for 1 out of 6 or not being able to get that, and then if we extrapolate that to like a best of 3 format, like you're guaranteed to like 2 of your games, like if you do like a best of 3 to get this off, so that, which is really consistent. Playing this turn 1 helps you self-awaken, and you can just get to 3 really easy to do. It's -3 effect later in the game, and you just have a lot of ways to pop your opponent's cards without even paying energy for it, right? By doing them too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this deck, I'm tapped out every turn, and I'm very comfortable.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of interaction that your opponent can do, and if you think they can, you can really mitigate that risk for it. So yeah, turn 1 you want to play Demigra most of the time. If you get a Frieza Charismatic villain in hand, that's an extra bonus. Just being able to pop anything that they might play. Turn 2, I'd say you'd probably want to play a Rebrian or a Son Goku Ape. Rebrian, I think, is for as many of these cards as you can, it's needed in the deck. Son Goku, probably not as much needed. I know both are expensive right now, but Rebrian, I think it definitely is. You want to max this one out.
Yeah, honestly, if someone wanted to pick up the deck right now and they didn't have any of the pieces, you can absolutely get by without Draw 2 Ape. I think the whole tournament, I might have resolved it twice.
Yeah.
So, again, like, it was nice to have, but if you don't have it, you can totally run the deck without it.
Yeah, and you're definitely charging green for all your energy, especially since you've got this 3 specific cost Dark Broly in your deck. So there's nothing that costs yellow for anything, so I think that's fine. But yeah, just turn 1 and 2, and then you just apply a lot of pressure to your opponent. And you get a lot of card advantage, because whenever your opponent's swinging, usually you're drawing cards from it. Especially if you play like a Cell Dark Parasite once or twice from hitting at the drop area, you just gain a lot of advantage. And the turn 3 is kind of when you kind of go off if you can. You play Dark Broly, you pop something with your opponents, you're able to play a Surprise Attack Frieza, it's 15k crit, and then you can go into 1-star ball, going into Frieza Dark Infestation, which is a double strike that also can get your opponent to like lose one card in hand, and also you get card advantage back by getting a ball back into your hand, or a shocking death ball if you need to, which is really, really clutch at times. There's also Demon God Dabura, which just lets you do. It's a free +1. Like it's flat out. You just free advantage because you're able to just discard this card from your hand, lose a marker from one of your unison cards to get a Dark Dragon Ball. So you just cycle for the ball, and then if you use it for Broly, your opponent has to discard a card because of its unison or its auto. So like this card's just insane. Like I've never been in a situation where this Dark Broly might die. It's so crazy.
Yeah, that unison is pure value. I think I've ever had it been killed once.
Mm-hmm.
Like ever played the leader.
Yeah.
And yeah, I used to actually charge the 2-drop Dabura all the time, but eventually I learned that's like the last thing you want to charge.
Mm-hmm.
Like even only running 3 of the Dark Infestation,
Mm-hmm.
I'll charge that and just leave 2 in the deck. I don't care. I want to keep a copy of Dabura as possible because again, it's +1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's super +1. Yeah, I think the only thing that can mess you up at times is that for the ball, you do have to play the Frieza from either your hand or your deck. So you kind of have to be aware about how many you have, and be careful if one might be in your life or something. But so if you've seen 2, you got to probably keep 1 in your hand. But if you've only seen 1, you can probably just keep it there.
Yeah.
But just you put a lot of pressure on your opponent. You pop a lot of cards. Like his +2 is also a free +1, and which potential of being a +2 if you play with Cell, because you just have so many ways to like discard dead cards in your hand too, which is like one of the best things about this deck. So you rarely have bad hands.
The amount of times that I've just used the 9-drop Cell
Mm-hmm.
to minus that, take a life, draw a card.
So you went from 1 card in hand to 2 cards in hand, and your opponent lost a card in board and a card in hand. So like that's like +4. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a big plus.
Yeah, well, also having a 20k double striker that can't be popped. So, but yeah, so that's just really the idea, and it doesn't look like you have a win condition, right? Like that's like what I think a lot of people see this deck is like, well, you get like a bunch of like little value, but there's no like big finisher for the deck, right?
Yeah, so I used to run the Cell SER, and the issue is with that is you're left. If you want to hit someone back on the crackback, so I used to have more Arrival in the deck, which also clunks up the deck more. Because I used to have I usually averaged around 6 Arrival cards, between 4 and 6, and all those extra 1 costs. It really doesn't matter how big your hand is. You're like, sweet, I can combo up maybe 15k, and then after that, without super combos, like you got it. So it's almost like Invoker, but you ain't got no negates.
Yes.
So yeah, getting it down to just 2 Arrival's nice. That's purely there, almost more so if I need to. It's almost better defensively. Let's just say I didn't have a Reaper again turn 2, then I can just Arrival twice and get them to drop 2.
Yeah.
Then it allows me to crack back. Yeah, the win condition. The best way I can describe this deck, and it works best against black, is the amount of times where I've started turn 2 or turn 3 with my own Awakening, where I've had 1 or 2 life and my opponent had like 7, and I got them down to 0 life, and usually maybe 1 or 2 cards left in hand at the end of it. Pretty frequent, and they're usually just left like, what just happened?
Yeah, exactly, and it's the big thing, because people won't expect how much burst this deck can have, and they just don't know that they're in the dead zone a lot of the time. And so and then on the flip side too, if they do know that, they'll play suboptimally, and then you can just like going off on turn 4 with this deck, you get so much more. So it's just kind of, if your opponent can like survive to turn 5, then you got an issue. But it's just a lot of pressure, a lot of crit, a lot of double strike, and a lot of card destruction too, like just an absurd amount at times.
Yeah.
So I guess a couple other cards to round out the deck. So 2 Son Goku Power of Legend. This is one I didn't really like at first, but this card's really good. This is a free 15k crit. Is just fantastic.
Amazing. I actually, before I was running at 3, I took it down from 3 to 2 to make room for the Son Gohan Ignite.
Yeah, and this card's really good too. But yeah, we'll talk about Power Legends first real quick.
But having only 3 black cards in the deck feels good. Like, it does happen where you can have a bad opening hand and you mulligan 5 or 6 cards, and then all of a sudden you're left with like 3 black cards in hand. Like it does happen, and that just it destroys you for the whole game.
Yeah, for
sure.
sure.
Suboptimally charging, it makes it really tough.
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't want to see more than 1 or 2 black cards probably per game, right? Like, especially since like the Sun Goku, if you get both Power Legends in your hand, they're kind of sticky because they don't contribute to energy, they don't contribute to like your Cell Surge stuff, and it's just kind of hard to get rid of them.
Well, and on top of that too, so if you play him on turn 2 and you bring him out and you use his ability, you gotta remember that you can't free play him next turn. You have to wait till turn 4. So I actually misplayed that before, and then I realized later on after testing, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It can be I don't know. It can be kind of clunky. You really only get to resolve like 1 for the game, but yeah, it's pretty. I don't know. I like the card though. It does a lot of work. So. And if you can't tell, like there's a bunch of stuff that just gets played for free, and especially like just the whole Xeno combo too. And then we also have Son Gohan, Hidden Might, probably the newest addition to the only really draft box card that we added to it was or you added to it. So it has this permanent that when your life is at 3 or less, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 3. If your leader card is green and this card's played, choose it to 1. You either get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignore and bury, and KO it, or choose up to one of your opponent's unison cards and remove a marker from it.
Yeah, so that's essentially like the secret rare of the deck. I only got to see it once the whole tournament. I was gonna play it, but just the way that the last turn played out, it was round 5 against the Red Broly player. And essentially I had him in double strike range, and I drew into I drew into Man on a Mission, and then I did have a Rebrand in hand, so I just ditched the Rebrand to minus a card in hand from him, and then I was like, well, I could pay the 2 energy to bring out a big beefy boy, but if he has with his 1 energy open and negate, then I'm definitely not winning next turn. So I just figured, well, it'd be nice to actually play him for once, but do the smart move and bring out Man on a Mission.
But I think he's good, and like I think it makes sense. Like most of the time, Man on a Mission or Son Gohan are interchangeable on your win condition because you normally don't play those 2 until probably turn 4. Like if you go off turn 3 and you just kind of scrap, you can't really finish it off. You probably scrap them from resources. You use your Cell Surge effect to make it so they everything comes in the rest. You still have your leader swing 1. You've got your unison Broly swing, so that's a double strike, and you just get a lot of value for it. So the 2 energy for this guy doesn't really matter because you got to play him out, and you're not doing anything better on turn 4 anyways. It fits well to do a Rebrand and then him, and it's just like another way to pop something. And What's really nice about this deck too is that if you have like multiple copies of Surprise Attack Frieza in your hand, they aren't really dead, which you'd think they would be, but being able to just have a ball, put it under, get Frieza Dark Infestation, pop something again, and you can play another Frieza from your hand because it's not on the board anymore.
I've done 3 of them in a turn before.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because
it's a bit of a sequencing, but you kind of have to just pop 1. You bring out the 1, you do his thing, you put the ball on him, and especially if it's turn 3, you only need the 1 ball.
Yeah.
So you just keep rolling them out one after the other, and
if you went second and it's turn 3, because you get the balls back to your hand because of all that, and then you make your opponent discard cards, and then you just play another one. Because I could. Yes. Yeah, because you could do like let's say turn 3, Demigra, pop something, play Frieza, swing everything, and then go into Dark Broly, pop something again, and then leader effect, pop something again, make him discard a card. Like it's just really oppressive in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and that's why I usually use the leader ability to snipe something and pop, because then usually on that kill turn I can get at least 2 surprise attack freezes out. And they don't realize that turns into 4 attacks.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, with a lot of crits and a lot of double strikes. Which they're just at 15k, but if they don't have a hand, it doesn't matter anyways. So.
Yeah, and you can start that turn actually with 0 cards in your drop. And as long as you have the 1 ball and 1 Dabura, either or, you can get to 6 really quick because the surprise attack goes into the drop.
So yeah, because it just
be right
yeah,
there. If you're
yeah,
not
you
a
get
big
some
fan.
free mail for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, and I think last thing for super combos, you did two versions of Dr. Dro, which I really like this card. When I first saw this card, I didn't like it. I thought it was bad, but just being able to guarantee a Rebrand late game or an Ape if you really need it is just a lot of value, because you're floating a lot of energy turn 3, turn 4, so you can afford it. And then you also chose Zamasu. I know both of us kind of like Android 18 as the other super combo, but why do you decide Zamasu this time?
So Zamasu's great because this deck shines from doing almost everything is free.
Yes, for sure.
So why Zamasu is so good is because most decks aren't going to be kind of comboing up against you. They're going to try and usually go wide and just get a lot of little attacks in. So especially those boards that are scary, even if Ajax wants to do that, well, I can Zamasu super combo them, and it's technically getting me out of 2 attacks.
Yes, for sure.
Sometimes more if it's double striker. So it's, or you're denying, or if they want to do that first, you can deny their draw from a leader.
Yes, which is essentially a +1 already, right? Like, it's a hand destruction in itself, so.
And the one thing I do like about it over Android 18, and this one was a tough pill to swallow, was that he does give you better ratios for yellow. So this list, I believe I'm running 14 yellows in the deck.
Yes.
Including multicolor. What I eventually found was you need 13 was the sweet spot for a minimum. So this getting it to 14 just felt much better.
Yeah, for sure. And I can see that. And I think that's part of the reason like you run Goku Ape, not because you need it, it's just because being able to just have more yellow is just really nice.
Yeah, before like a month ago I actually didn't own any, and I just pulled 2 from some of the event packs.
Yeah.
That came out. So before him, I was actually using the Dropbox Bardock that rests mode something. So that way I could still pay it for free, or I could just use it for Awakening. And blockers are kind of in the meta right now, so I was like, you know what, I'm like, this kind of works.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad. It's just I think it's a good sub card for that idea, because it's like doing something for 2 energy in the same way and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it definitely suboptimal to the Ape, but I think they're like $10 or something. So
yeah, they're especially from the anniversary box. Yeah, they're a lot cheaper now.
No, I mean the Bardock that rests.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I thought it was combo Bardock.
Wrong one. But yeah, yes. that one would work too.
All right, cool. So real quick. So you had 6 rounds. What were your matchups for the day?
Round 1 was Red Broly. We both bricked super hard. Neither of us really got a start or chains or anything, but luckily with Cell, I kind of just whittled him down. So this deck, even if it doesn't get all of its pieces firing off, can recover better than others that require a specific chain, because this is a very chain-specific deck.
Yes.
So yeah, if he would have gotten his chain off, I probably would have lost.
Gotcha. Okay.
Pieces. Round 2 was against Green Go Tanks. I was just kind of able to deny him resources at the start of the game. That's the thing I love about Cell, the fact that he doesn't need to attack to plus.
Yes, for sure.
Huge. Most people look at the turn 2 and like all you're doing is paying 2 to get them to drop 2. That's nothing. Well, what they're forgetting is you're not swinging at their leader. You're denying them resources. And sometimes you can actually bring up Power of Legend as well. So
and like you don't even care about like popping your unisons, like applying unison pressure is really big for this deck too.
Yeah, so those first 2 turns I can actually just swing at their unisons, and that's free value for me. Yeah. So that was just a grindy matchup, and I was just able to out-resource him. Also, some very lucky sniping of cards helped, for sure.
Yeah.
Round 3 was Vegex. He got me down to 2 life on his turn 2. So I awakened on my turn 2.
Yeah.
He went, I believe he went first, if I recall. I might be wrong. But yeah, he got me down to 2 life. None of it was crit, thankfully, so that helped.
Yeah.
And I think the key to success in this deck is kind of learning when you have the right pieces to keep taking life, because I don't really care if I go down to 1 life with this. Just if I have the pieces to sequence through and get someone down 8 life in 1 turn, it can do it.
Yeah.
You just have to be able to recognize when you have those moments.
Definitely.
So that one I was just able to crack back, and it worked.
Sure.
I think that one was actually caught on stream for part of it.
Yeah, I think the second half of that was con stream. Yeah.
Yeah, and then round 3 was Vegeks. Round 4 was Reboot Gohan.
Mm-hmm.
Very fortunate, only ran into 1.
Yes. It can be very scary for this. Like, thematically, it can be very, very scary for this deck.
Yes,
but
there's good reasons. So I just got lucky. I drew 2 negates and a Zamasu super combo from like the start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely helps. Like Zamasu super helps that deck in a lot of ways because it just makes it so they don't get like that other swing.
And winning the die roll helps.
Yes, that also helps too because if you're able to set up Demigra and then if they try to play their Self Awakener dudes and you can just freeze them, you're seeing really pretty too.
Yeah, that's basically exactly what I was able to do. So I didn't have a charismatic against him, but I still set up Demigra, and I was able to pop him off and get the game.
Cool.
Get the game done that way. Round 5 was against Red Broly, so the second one.
Mm-hmm.
He said afterwards that he missequenced and missed 2 free swings.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's webcam, I didn't really see what those could or would have been.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe him. He fired off. He got me down to 1 life. He just kind of ran out of swings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was just able to... And he just felt it was super safe because he still had 4 life and a negate in hand. So he was kind of like, he's like, I'll be fine. And I was like, no.
No.
So with 2 energy on my side. So I lost the... that one was just super rough because I was taking all of his swings, hoping to draw... And he was swinging... Normally most Red Broly players will try to not swing with non-crits. Like it's just crit only, which is usually the way to go, but he just recognized there was a possibility he can go for game, so that was the smart move on his part, and I was comboing out of some of the early crit, like against his leader, and then only taking the non-crits, and dug down to basically 1 life to try and pull a charismatic villain, but never saw one, so...
Oh, yeah.
I got lucky.
Yeah, this deck can definitely die or live based on those freezes a lot of the time too. But
well, it's just extra valuable against that leader because if they're bringing out, say, their 5-drop, and you pop it off, it doesn't matter that you're warping anything. It just completely sets them behind because they're now actually losing 2 cards in hand. So it's almost like a free re-again for them to bring out a non-crit.
Yes, for sure, exactly. Because you can, on the Awakened Leader, you can have them. They can discard a card to play a 4-drop again, but that's fine. Yeah. You don't really care about that.
Yeah. So even if I'm warping an extra card, like I don't mind. I probably have some extra clunk in my hand I can get rid of anyways.
Definitely. And then last match.
Yeah. So that was against Blue Vegito. I just know that deck through and through. That's actually the deck that got me my invite into the event. So.
Cool. Yeah, and it's super funny because both of you guys were going in undefeated, and you were both the only players of each of your decks. Right? There's only 1 Cell Surge and 1 Vegito starter deck. So really cool that happened.
Yeah, I think both of those decks do really well against the current meta.
Definitely, for sure. So cool. All right. Well, I definitely talked your ear off like 10 minutes more than I thought I would, but here we are. Anything before we head out?
Pretty much just thanks to all my friends that had helped me test. So even you, we had chatted about stuff, and
definitely
you helped me with some of the tech. So convinced me I definitely needed to buy the Android 18s about a month and a half ago.
Yeah, they're really good. I don't think we ever talked about her, but just free 10k combo and like potential like arrival stuff is really good.
Well, you just showed me your list, kind of like, oh, I like her, and I'm not too big on the arrival, and I was like, oh, I'll try it out instead. And then I was like, yeah, I'm like not relying on arrival and doing this and getting rid of Cell Xeno. I was like, that actually is the key to winning, which feels hilarious. Yes.
Yeah, it's very, yeah, I every time I show my list, they're like, oh, can you not afford a secret rare? I'm like, yes, but it's still the right move, and I'll stick by it, but
yeah.
So
Yeah, Yomi actually also helped me out with some testing against blue because I'm surprised I didn't see a single Soul Striker, and there was like 10 of them or something crazy.
yeah, I think there are a good couple of them. I definitely saw like a an agents version, and yeah, I know that they were definitely around. But I agree. I was surprised by how little of a splash they made.
Yeah, so she plays a good bit of Soul Striker, so she helped me with a few rounds for that just to get the reps in for final day. Everyone at Three Kings Loot, which is just Canadian locals, which is on the other side of the country of me, but just with COVID shutting stuff down, they've had online. They've been kind enough to let me play with them, so I got lots of practice with them for Cell Surge, so that was good. Also undefeated in theirs with Cell Surge as well, so that helped remind me this is the leader to go with.
Yeah, exactly. So cool. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. Congrats again, and obviously I'm thrilled that Cell Surge did well enough, but you as well. And yeah, so thank you everyone for watching. Let me know what you guys think about this list, and if you have any questions or any like budget questions or anything for this deck, we'll definitely be in the comments and help you out. But really appreciate it, and we'll catch you all next time.